We must remember they really are just children. Children endowed with a special gift. They can fly. They're on public display but carry a private burden, for in these petite national treasures we entrust a country's aspirations of Olympic glory. They relinquish their childhood to pursue rare perfection, exhibiting veteran toughness. But these fragile youngsters are always in a race against their own bodies. These bodies, trained for elegance and grace, are now under scrutiny. It's almost as if there's a hidden side to these powerful athletes.
To do our sport, it's very specific. If you want these, if you want to go up in the air, flip 2 times and land, you better be small. You better be very strong for your size, very quick. And so the sport itself determines the body type.
This is a sport of young girls, but what you can't see is their drive, focus, and sense of themselves.
People have a difficult time seeing their intensity because they are children. And just because they're young doesn't mean they can't be focused and they can't be goal-oriented and know what they want.
We have to understand that these children are just gifts that were given to us. We have these children for a short time of their lives, but the time that we do have them is so incredibly impressionable. We have such a serious responsibility to help these children through this time in their life. It is not the only time of their life.
But don't tell that to 13-year-old Jennie Thompson. She's trained half her life for this moment, a chance to compete against the best. Time is running out for 17-year-old Dominique Dawes. Could this be her final chance to win the U.S. all-around crown? At age 17, Shannon Miller is world champion, but can she continue to dominate a sport where younger, smaller teens prevail? The nighttime skyline of Tennessee's capital city, Nashville. Tom Hammond, Tim Daggett, and Marianne Grabavoy in Music City, where all roads lead to Municipal Auditorium. Scene tonight of the U.S. Gymnastics Championships as we determine the senior women's all-around title. Shannon Miller, the most decorated gymnast in U.S. history, but only once national champion. That was last year. Dominique Dawes, always in the shadow of Shannon Miller and looking for her first victory over her old rival. And the new face, 13-year-old Jennie Thompson, last year's junior national champion, competing in her first senior nationals. Tonight we'll see the gymnasts competing in 4 events: the vault, uneven bars, balance beam, and floor exercise, with the top score determining the all-around champion. The compulsories count 60% of the score. They've already been held, with Shannon Miller holding a slight lead over Dominique Dawes.
Shannon Miller getting ready for her first performance this evening on the uneven bars. That lead she enjoys over Dominique, certainly not a huge one. The athlete with the least amount of mistakes between Shannon and Dom will probably be your winner here tonight. First release combination comes up right here, 2 in a row. Watch this. Perfectly on. One thing Shannon does so well, the knees and the toes are so extended, so tight. Here comes her dismount. It's a big one, and she has had problems in the past. 2 flips laid out. Oh boy, I'll tell you.
That's how you do it.
She really had to pull that one around.
How'd it go? Good job. Good job.
Little bit raggedy on the dismount, little bit of bent knees, and of course that little shuffle on the landing. A lot of littles in that.
Well, a little rough at the end perhaps, but a good start for Shannon Miller overall.
Tom, this is the best part of the routine. 2 releases in a row. She basically pioneered this. It's a full spin, right into a backflip with a half twist. Done with perfect form. Shannon Miller trademark. Now let's look at this dismount. It's a double laid out somersault. That means her body should be totally stretched in the air, but you see a little bit of legs right there, a little bit of pike, and watch her fight for this landing, tries to take a step and maybe fool the judges there. I don't know if they're so fooled. And 9.75 for Shannon's first event. A good score, but certainly opens the door for Dominique a little bit.
Now Amy Chow on floor exercise, 16-year-old from San Jose. She's an accomplished classical pianist, and her piano teacher helped select the music for this floor exercise.
And she is definitely a comer. She is one of the most dynamic athletes in the U.S. right now. Every routine she does, not just on the floor exercise, jam-packed with difficulty.
Chow so quiet and shy that you have to lean close to hear when she utters a rare word, but expressive on the floor.
She sure is, Tom. And watch this tumbling here. Tremendously dynamic. This is at the end of the routine. She's exhausted. She'll do 3 complete twists right there. 1, 2, 3. Just a little bit of leg separation, but she is a daredevil.
Both parents born in China. She was born in San Jose in a 9.525 on her floor exercise. Dominique Dawes preparing for her first event, the vault. She was national vault champion last year. She has a chance to gain on the leader, Shannon Miller.
The U.S. Gymnastics Championships are brought to you by Coca-Cola Classic. Always the real thing. Always Coca-Cola.
Welcome back to Nashville in the U.S. Gymnastics Championships, where Dominique Dawes is set for her first vault.
We've seen Dominique have problems on this vault in really big, stressful competitions, World Championships. The past 2, she struggled. 1.5 twisting, laid out Yurchenko. Oh. Absolutely, positively, no problems there, though.
Beautiful. Very good. Same thing. Strong stand, strong push, wait, then go again. Good job.
Here, Coach Kelly Hill applauding that effort.
We can take a better look here. Watch, she'll leave the horse and do 1.5 twists. What's so hard about this is it's a totally blind landing. She never sees the ground until her feet are on it.
Competitors get 2 vaults. They take the best score.
Great score. Great start for Dominique. Maybe just a little more power off the horse. Well, you know, Tom, not as good a vault as her first one, but this is a big accomplishment for Dominique. As I said before, she struggled on this event in the past when she really needed to perform at the last 2 World Championships. Had a problem. No problem on these vaults, though.
9.825, so she'll keep the 9.9 from her first vault. And serving notice to Shannon Miller, Dominique with her first event, putting the pressure on the leader.
Come on, Jenny. Aggressive on this tumbling pass now. Clean form.
Steve Nuno, the coach of Jennie Thompson and also of Shannon Miller, instructing his 7th grader on her first event, the floor exercise.
Set it
All
up.
right, Jen, let's get it.
Peggy Liddick, also one of the coaches at Dynamo Gymnastics. And Peggy and Steve say that this girl is the best they've ever seen. Now, the one event where the lack of maturity and a bigger body is a deficit as opposed to an advantage is floor exercise. She needs to really be expressive in this routine, and it's a little bit more difficult for her here on the floor.
Jennie Thompson, I had to smile at the look of confidence on this 13-year-old.
Well, she certainly is confident. There's no doubt about that. But, you know, she really doesn't look all that comfortable when she's out on the floor dancing. However, when she's tumbling, she looks fantastic. But, you know, you have to remember, Jennie, she took a big risk, not only with this tumbling pass, 3 complete twists, but also she decided to move up into the senior division where many of her contemporaries stayed junior this year. Big risk, but it looks like it's going to pay off.
Jennie Thompson, who lives with her mother in Oklahoma City, originally from Wichita Falls, Texas, 9.55 on her floor exercise. Now here's Amanda Borden of Cincinnati, ready to have her first rotation. This will be on the balance beam. Amanda will be a senior at Finneytown High School, starting classes next week.
And she has a very difficult mount. She'll do a running front somersault onto the beam, very tricky. She fell on this event last year at the National Championships. No problem there. Concentration is so important on the balance beam. This is her first major tumbling pass. 2 back handsprings to a 2-foot layout. Very tricky. Just a little bit of a balance check there.
Amanda took the time while she was in Nashville to visit some sick children at the hospital and is known for that radiant smile. You'll see it before the night's over.
She wants to be smiling after this running front somersault right here. Tom, this is about the best I've seen Amanda look on balance beam in a major competition. She looks very focused, very calm. Getting ready for her dismount right here. You know, a really great routine from Amanda. The last trick, the dismount. A few big steps there.
Totally awesome routine.
Her coach, Mary Lee Tracy, she's right. It was a great routine, but you got to put your feet on the ground at the end, Tom, and you can't let them move. Here's the dismount here, double back somersault. She just has too much rotation, pulls a little bit too hard, and her center of gravity is behind her feet, and she has to take those 3 big steps back.
9.525 on the beam for Amanda Borden, and it has to be at least a psychological hurdle cleared.
Certainly.
She remains in 3rd place. Shannon Miller still the leader, with Dominique Dawes closing in after 1 rotation. So Dominique Dawes has narrowed the gap. You know, Tim, Shannon Miller was unbeatable after the '92 Olympics. She won every meet she was in until recently. She took the silver at the Goodwill Games. So the question is, are we seeing a beatable Shannon Miller now?
Well, Tom, I certainly think that it's possible to beat Shannon Miller, and she showed us that on the first event, the uneven bars. Nice routine, but she had a rough dismount, really had to kind of scrounge it around, took a bit of a step. Opened that door just a little bit for Dominique Dawes, and on her first event, Dawes had a fantastic fall, scored a 9.9. We've got a pretty good race here.
Yeah, 3 rotations to go in that race. What'll be the key point?
I think the key in women's gymnastics most often comes down to the balance beam, but both of these athletes are fantastic there. You got to remember, 4 inches wide, and anything can happen.
So we'll see Shannon Miller on the beam when we return to Nashville.
You're the champ. Yeah, let's do it. Right down the middle. Keep your eyes on the beam. Okay, posture.
Welcome back to Nashville and the U.S. Gymnastics Championships. Shannon Miller is the leader in the competition for the U.S. All-Around Championship, ready for her routine on the balance beam. And in the compulsories earlier this week, she nearly fell.
Really struggles for that landing. Same mount we saw from Amanda Borden.
That music you hear blaring in the background indicating that there are 4 events in progress simultaneously here in the arena.
Shannon will get ready now for her first major tumbling run. Back handspring to 2 layout step outs. Right on.
Shannon will be a senior at North Edmond, Oklahoma High School. She's already missed the first week of classes, but it shouldn't be a problem. She's a straight A student. If you're wondering, the high school does exempt her from PE classes.
I guess her 7 hours a day probably qualifies. Shannon's been doing this dismount as long as anyone. Very difficult, full twisting double. Oh, that is a huge mistake. Those hands go down at least a 3/10 of a deduction. Remember, I said that the beam is probably the place where we can see some mistakes, and that just opens the door even wider for Dominique Dawes.
Shannon Miller, almost in tears, knows that her lead is in jeopardy right now.
Time she touched the ground there, and it's like her hands shot up in the air. It was like, I can't believe I put my hands down.
You know, started off a little conservative too. All right, gotta be aggressive.
Started off just a little bit rough, but she was able to hold on to this one. Watch, she should just spring right up there, but look at the fight. Don't give up, don't give up. And she hangs on. But here's where it went wrong. Full twisting double somersault. Not quite enough rotation. Look at her hands. They touch the ground and pulls them back. It's like they were touching fire there. Big mistake.
9.40. Shannon Miller may have seen her national championship just go down the drain.
I don't know the last time Shannon Miller saw a 9.4 on any event.
So Dominique Dawes needing only 9.48, certainly reachable to take over the lead.
No, most definitely, and this is actually a very good routine for Dominique. Release right there from low bar to high bar. Very clean exercise so far. Not as difficult as some of the other athletes in the competition. Beautiful dismount though. She'll show us right here. It's a full twisting double somersault. Oh, and she rocks the landing. There's your leader right there.
You're good? Hey, Are you having fun? Okay.
She had a little shrug to the having fun question, but when she sees the score, I suspect she will be having more fun.
Nice release from the low to the high bar. Not quite as difficult, as I said, as some of the other athletes, but one area Dominique really has improved is her overall look, the extended legs. She has better toes. And as I say over and over again, you gotta rock this landing, and she does it.
Anything over 9.5 gives her the lead. 9.85, and Dominique Dawes takes over the lead from Shannon Miller.
Now, I just read the obituaries, and you're not dead yet, okay? There was no Shannon Miller in the paper, so you got to get going. You got to pick it up, and you got to really be intense from this
Certainly
point forward.
Shannon Miller is not dead yet. 2 rotations left, and one of them will be the beam for Dominique Dawes.
Okay?
Yes, and just because Shannon made a mistake there certainly doesn't preclude Dominique from also having her difficulty, so we still have a race at this gymnastics competition.
Let's go to Amanda Borden now, who is in 3rd place after the first rotation as she has her floor exercise, and certainly must feel better after not falling off the balance beam on her first rotation.
Should be a big confidence booster for her. Her biggest obstacle in this routine is her first tumbling pass, though. She's had problems with it.
Pizzazz and that smile from Amanda Borden. The crowd loved it. Almost made the 92 Olympic team, but will she be too old for 96?
Well, she's 17, Tom, and as we said at the top of the show, they basically all are in a race against time for the older young ladies in this competition.
So far, Amanda Borden is having the national meet of her life.
You know, what we didn't see from Jennie Thompson was the artistic impression. She really has it. Amanda has worked a lot on her tumbling, and this is much improved, but maybe still just a little bit weak. Some of the athletes are doing slightly more difficult tumbling, but this was a routine done as well as Amanda Borden can do it.
And a 9.8 for Amanda Borden on that floor exercise. That will ensure that she stays in 3rd place. And the standings after 2 rotations, Dominique Dawes has taken over the lead. Shannon Miller 3/10 behind in 2nd with Amanda Borden 3rd. And if Amanda Borden might be too old for Atlanta, there's a young lady that will not be. Dominique MOCEANU, the talented junior. We'll see more of her in action when we come back. Welcome back to Nashville, Tennessee and the U.S. Gymnastics Championships. Gymnastics is a sport for the young, and how many of these youngsters will go home tonight after viewing the experts and try a few cartwheels? And in a sport for the young, we have a relative oldster in the lead at the moment. 17-year-old Dominique Dawes has wrested the lead from Shannon Miller. But she has to be looking over her shoulder for Atlanta, too, at the juniors coming on. Here's Marianne Grabavoy.
Thanks, Tom. Dominique Dawes continues her pursuit of her first all-around national title. I'm sure she's wondering if tonight is finally her night, and soon will crown the 1994 U.S. national champion. When she looks over her shoulder, who does she see? Well, it's the young ones who are just now getting their wings. 12 and 13-year-old girls. They're the juniors, and they will form the nucleus of the 96 U.S. Olympic team. Who will the next star be?
These will be the faces you'll see on the podium in Atlanta. You have to be born at just the right time, the right year with the right genes. And these are the lucky ones. You may not know their names just yet, but oh, will you? Second in the junior all-around competition here, 13-year-old Donnie Thompson trains in Colorado Springs. She says, I think about the 96 Olympics every night when I say my prayers. I always add, please God, make my dreams come true.
Great releases, and she's not done. So aggressive. One more right there. Really like her energy. Big dismount coming up. Double laid out somersault, and she rocks the landing. That is a great routine, Tom.
The new U.S. junior champ is 12-year-old Dominique MOCEANU, Donnie Thompson's present and future rival. Dominique knows greatness is in her blood, but she also knows she'll need plenty of help on her journey to Atlanta.
Tricky mount here on the balance beam. Critical, it's got to be perfect. Oh, she's off the beam, but boy, she's back on before you can even think about it. Should really test her character right here.
Dominique's parents fled the Ceausescu regime in Romania, immigrated to the United States.
First major tumbling pass on the beam. See if she gets it back together. 3 layouts. Right
on. After Dominique's parents came to the United States, she was born where else? In Hollywood.
So difficult to get your mind back on track. Just a small step on that landing. Tell you, I'm really impressed though. Really tough little girl here.
Dominique was originally trained by Bela Karolyi, but just 3 months ago he brought in Alexander Alexandrov, the former Soviet national coach, just to train Dominique.
Former enemies on the competition floor. Now they work together. Her dismount, double back somersault. This is a tough little girl, Tom.
After a disastrous start on the beam, she could have crumbled, but she didn't. Extraordinarily self-assured, Dominique took on the bars.
Her last event on the uneven bars. She's got a couple big releases. First one comes up right here. Oh, that was right on. She is so tiny. She can hardly get from one bar to the other. Second release. Best part of her exercise, though, double laid out. She does this great, beautiful form.
Wow. She is feisty, aggressive, and she senses her destiny. On her side, some of the best gymnastics minds in the world, but it's a perilous journey. Dominique MOCEANU, prize Romanian gymnastics blood, born in Hollywood, star ascending. Is she the next Nadia?
Well, here's a young lady that looks like a junior, Marianne, but is not. Amy Chow is 16 years old, but no thought of getting a driver's license. Her mom drives her on those long treks to train and to private school, and it's during those periods in the car that Amy eats her meals and does her homework. If she got a license, when would she eat or do her lessons?
No kidding, and she is a perfect student, 4.0. And she's darn near perfect on this event, too. Beautiful front somersault. Don't want to set this up too early, but her dismount, it's so fantastic. 2 flips, 2 twists, amazing. Puts those feet on the ground. Now at home, you're probably saying big step on the landing, but this dismount is so difficult that it's like, I feel like saying ignore the step. It's just so darn hard. Nice piked front somersault. And then a beautiful transition right down to the low bar. Lots of energy, lots of speed.
No, it can't be here. It was too good.
Thank you.
But this is so special. 2 flips, and on each flip, she'll do a full twist. There's one right there. One more time, and get those feet on the ground and hold on to that landing.
Amy Chow with an expressive smile, 9.55 her score.
I gotta tell you, Tom, I don't know. I think they're being a little bit harsh on Amy Chow here.
Shannon Miller looking on in the unaccustomed position of having to come from behind to take this championship. She trails Dominique Dawes. And here's Shannon's teammate, Jennie Thompson, trying to move into 4th place as she gets ready to mount the uneven bars.
Not quite sure if she's gonna be able to reach the bars. No, she got it.
Amy Chow and Jennie Thompson fighting for that 4th spot. Jennie 4'1". She weighs around 60 pounds, braces included.
Whoa, that's a long reach for that bar. Barely got her hands on. Now here's the dismount. She has a problem with this typically. It's a double laid out somersault. Should be straight in the air. A little bit of pike. Of course, the step on the landing. Gonna hurt her a bit.
Fingertip grab on that ginger baby.
A good routine, Tom, but not a great one. She really needs to get the legs a little bit straighter. She needs a little bit better flow on the apparatus.
All right.
Just 13 years old in her first senior meet. And she gets a 9.625 on the bars. That'll keep her in the hunt for 4th place. Behind, of course, Dominique Dawes, the leader, and this could be a pivotal point in the competition as she's ready for her routine on the balance beam.
This, of course, where Shannon Miller had her problems earlier. Dominique opts to mount the balance beam in a conservative way. Get her routine going. If there's going to be a problem, it could happen here. Very difficult. Back handspring to 3 layouts. Can't believe she can fit this all in. It's 1. Very nicely done.
Dominique has graduated from Gaithersburg, Maryland High School. She'll be going to Stanford on a gymnastics scholarship, but when has yet to be decided.
It still is 2 years away, and as we've said, we don't want to jinx her, but almost a lifetime for a gymnast at 17 years old. She really looks great though, Tom. Very confident.
She likes to watch these routines on television, but she always turns down the commentators.
I'm gonna have to talk to her about that. Big dismount, 2 back handsprings, full twisting double, same dismount that we saw from Shannon Miller, where she put her hands down. No problem there.
Confident and poised, Dominique Dawes. Look at that face.
And let me tell you, a huge, huge, gigantic sigh of relief after beam. Now she gets into this full twisting double different than Shannon, but same dismount right here. 2 flips, 1 twist. But she's got a little better radar today. Those feet go down exactly where they're supposed to.
9.85. Dominique Dawes taking a commanding lead now on Shannon Miller.
Good strong tumbling. 1 short step, strong hurdle, get ready to go. Right up, stick, okay? Strong whip back, stick it. Let's go.
Coach Steve Nuno with some final words for Shannon Miller before her floor exercise.
2 events left for Shannon. She's going to need perfect routines, just about back-to-back 10.0s.
Shannon had a bit of a problem on that first tumbling pass. You said she needed a 10. Was that good enough?
No, I don't think she's going to get it on this exercise. As you said, that first tumbling pass, she took that big step back, but she is tough, I'll tell you. Most athletes would have probably ended up sitting down when they landed so back on their first tumbling pass. But let's take a look at this. Very difficult. She'll do a whip back, gain a little bit of speed and some momentum, and she'll do what's called a full twisting double somersault. She pulls a little bit too much and her hips are way offline. Has to take that step and kind of a little bit of a shuffle back. Ken.
Well, still 9.9 for Shannon Miller. Was that a bit of generous judging?
I gotta tell you, I don't know. I'm a little bit shocked by that. Those ladies right there. She does start out of a 10, but there were visible errors there, Tom. It was a little too high.
Shannon Miller is the defending champion, so perhaps that accounts for that generous score, 9.9.
Here's her second tumbling pass. Legs a little bit apart in the air, but basically nicely done. Women's floor has really changed quite a bit since the new code of points.
So after 3 rotations, 1 to go, Dominique Dawes leading Shannon Miller by .26. 1 rotation left in the U.S. All-Round Gymnastics Championship. And here's Amanda Borden, probably locked into 3rd place, but she is having a great meet.
Yeah, certainly, Tom. I'd say the meet of her life, and this, her last event, is probably her best event, the uneven bars. Great routine so far. One more trick, double front. Oh, baby.
Well, the crowd and her coaches loved it, and to me, Tim, it looked practically flawless.
It was a great exercise. I got to tell you, she truly did have the meet of her life.
9.75. I thought it could have been higher.
Yeah, it could very well have been higher, Tom.
Now the leader, Dominique Dawes, and as luck would have it, she finishes the competition with her best event, the floor exercise.
It's one of my favorite routines in all of gymnastics. Nobody quite performs a floor routine like Dominique Dawes. Her first tumbling pass, it goes on forever.
bouncing like a spring. That's why they call her Awesome Dawson.
And it sure was awesome. I told you at the beginning, that first tumbling pass, that's incredible.
Dominique Dawes, that looked like a championship performance.
Almost tears from Dominique, tears of joy. Look at everything that goes on in this tumbling run. She'll do a double twist, watch this, change direction. No, she's not done, nowhere near. She'll get a little bit more speed, and this is incredible. 2.5 twists, and right at the end, she bounces a front flip out of it. I'd be spinning in circles by that point, Tom.
Floor exercise score 9.925, and that'll do it. Dominique Dawes will be the new U.S. all-around champion for the first time, defeating her rival Shannon Miller.
Shannon Miller on her last event, the vault. She is tough. Difficult landing here. It's a blind one. Oh!
Well, how did Shannon Miller respond to losing her championship like a champion?
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
I tell you, that's about the most real smile I've seen Shannon Miller have in a competition. That was for Shannon Miller right there.
Well, congratulations for the new title holder, Dominique Dawes, with one vault left for Shannon Miller. 9-9 on the first.
It was a great vault and a very good score. I don't even know quite why she's going to go again. I don't know if she can do it any better than that. Another good vault. Still think the first one was a little bit better. She kept her body a little bit straighter.
All right, good job. Here's the one mistake you came back. That's super. All right.
Yeah, Steve sums it up there. One mistake in competition of this level, and it's all over. Second vault here. Like I said, the first one I thought was a little better because you'll see her body bends a little bit there at the hips. It's called piking in gymnastics.
Hey,
Shannon rose to the challenge. Second vault, 9.95, but Marianne's with the new champ.
Dominique, so many accolades through the years, but never the U.S. all-around title until tonight. It's finally yours.
Well, I feel really good about winning this competition. Hopefully it'll give me more confidence. I just came here to do the best that I could, and I did, so I was happy.
When did you know that you pulled ahead of Shannon Miller?
Well, probably when Stormy announced it, because they said it over the overhead. I guess that was after bars, maybe. I really didn't think of that as anything to pump me up or anything. I just still knew what my job was to do.
Did you sense, though, that maybe you could win it tonight?
I guess I sensed it, but I was just really here to do my best. So,
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Dominique Dawes, the new U.S. all-round champion. Shannon Miller second, Amanda Borden third. Stay with us. We'll hear from Shannon Miller when we come back. Dominique Dawes wins her first U.S. all-around championship, and the reign of Shannon Miller as national champion is short one, only 1 year. She's with Marianne Grabavoy.
Second at the Goodwill Games this summer, second here. There are people who are saying that there are chinks in Shannon Miller's armor, that she's on her way down. To those people, what do you say?
I definitely don't think I'm on my way down. I think it just shows that I'm a real person, that I can make mistakes, and hopefully I'll learn from it and go back to the gym and train this much harder for the next competition.
Does it hurt a little bit not repeating as national champion?
A little bit, but Dominique deserved to win. She hit all of her routines and did really well. So.
And what about next year? What are your plans?
Come back and win next year.
Well, actually, Shannon Miller has a chance to win again tomorrow. She'll battle Dominique Dawes once again as NBC Sports brings you the individual event finals. Who will be the best on each apparatus? That's at 7 o'clock Eastern and Pacific. But tonight belongs to this young lady, Dominique Dawes, who had a nearly flawless night of competition and now holds her first national championship trophy, finally escaping the shadow of Shannon Miller. However, she shares this prize in part with a junior champion, a 13-year-old with the same first name. Tom Hammond saying so long from Nashville.